What's going on? This is Moana. Welcome to the Moana Nui podcast. We are excited to be here tonight for our next episode with the amazingly talented TJ Sterling of Rae Comics. He is a business owner, a friend, a hustler, an illustrator, a creator. I'm very honored to have him here tonight because we are celebrating a special occasion for him. And let's get started and bring him in. What's
Oh,
going
here
on?
we are. What up?
How you doing?
Man, that intro was fire. You don't understand. I was like dancing backstage and shit. People didn't even get a chance to see that. I mean, because she's got the swirling water and the logo just comes out of nowhere. It's like being in the Moana movie for Moana's podcast. Absolutely incredible. I'm very happy to be here.
That's awesome. No, I'm so happy to have you here too. So, for those of the people who are listening who don't know you, let's just do a quick intro. Tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Absolutely. So, everybody who doesn't know me, my name is TJ Sterling. I'm the president and lead artist of a company called Rae Comics, and we make stories and narratives about characters of color doing amazing, amazing, powerful things. And we've been in business since 2015, and we've been slowly just kind of making our way throughout different parts of the comic book industry. And I'm blessed to be able to serve you guys as a creator, writer, and an illustrator for my flagship comic book series, Okemus.
Yes, and we're so excited to talk about Okemus a little bit tonight.
Let's
Um,
go.
so this is your first Kickstarter, but you're not necessarily new to the scene. You've been doing this for a while and attending conventions and like being on that hustle. What was your strategy like for switching from doing an in-person event to Kickstarter? How was that transition for you?
Man, shoot, that's a good question. I think for me, it's always been kind of like I've never really had a huge interest in Kickstarter just because I met so many people in person. I mean, I do on average about 15 shows a year all throughout the country, and I meet thousands of people like every con. And that's always been my Kickstarter. It's kind of been the spot where people invest in what we have going on at Rae Comics, whether it's just for the products we have or even just monetary donations. So I didn't really always see the need 100% immediately to do Kickstarter. And I think as time went on, I realized the platform was really growing, and there's a lot of people who only buy their comics on Kickstarter because they cannot get their comics at a convention. Some people
Mm,
aren't even able to come. I mean, I had a customer who's a paraplegic who wasn't even able to like move out of his wheelchair to even go to a convention. So he only buys stuff on Kickstarter. So I realized that it was a market that I hadn't reached yet. And then also this year, 2020 is just interesting because we have zero conventions, a big old fat zero, because
right.
because people were in a weird country eating snakes and bats and shit. You know what I'm saying? And COVID's wreaked havoc on the whole fucking world. So because we can't have any cons and I can't bless all of you with my fantastic presence and I can't experience you one on one in person, Kickstarter is like the biggest way that I can reach a large audience in a very short period of time.
That's awesome. Yeah, and TJ is very good with people. He John and I always say he has the gift of gab because he has a way of pulling you in. So I'm gonna put you on the spot. Pretend I'm a new person and tell me your pitch.
Oh God, um, it's pretty simple. I mean, I always start with something very very basic, like do you like comic books? Because you just never know what a person is at a convention for. I mean, some
Right.
people, excuse me, are only there for cosplay. Some people are only there for the games. Some people are only there to buy exclusive pop figures. So you don't really know who or what or when or why they're even there. And I think starting with a question like, "Do you like comic books? Are you here for the reason I'm here?" And just kind of seeing if you have some common interest, and that kind of sparks like an easy, going conversation. And I think it's always kind of funny because so many of us have asked that question at a con. It's a relatively typical question. It's a very simple question, but a lot of times you get no. You get no a lot. And when you get no, it's just kind of like, look, do you see where you're at? You're walking through Artist Alley, you're walking through small press. Like, this is all comics.
Right.
So that's usually where it starts. And then just regular conversation about like, hey, what do you like? What are you interested in? Let me tell you a little bit about my series and why it's different and unique than anybody else's. I mean, you guys have a great product. So you can speak to bike life and all this amazing stuff that, other creators can't. So you have something that's different, something that's unique. And with that, you explain to them a little bit just what is unique about your company and why they could possibly invest in it. And then all the fun stuff that we have for sale, whether it's the books or the prints or whatever. And then you kind of go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I love about you and when you're at conventions is that you also have interns and students that are with you. So I was doing a little bit of research on the internet last night, and I saw a series that you did for the Junior 100, where you're like mentoring some students on being a creator. And that really spoke to me because I like mentoring too. So when you're choosing the interns that you bring with you to a convention, what are the things that you're looking for in them?
Strong arms so they can carry all my heavy shit. You got to be able to bench 200 pounds to work for Rae Comics. You got to be strong-willed and strong-minded and strong able-bodied.
That's so true.
But seriously, it's weird because I usually get invited to do a lot of stuff. A lot of the times it's like the Junior 100. I met a lady and her son at a convention, and they were like, look, we love, how you present your work. We, love how engaging you are with my kids. So like, are you able to do this with more kids? And I'm like, sure, I'd love to, because I'm the oldest of 5. I've got, 4 younger siblings, and I've always kind of been that responsible guy that, helps people with homework or changes diapers and all that other stuff. That was me in high school. So now it's kind of like, again, I do get invited to do a lot of gigs, and I just meet people organically, and things kind of just happen. But I think I recently started to get very serious and intentional with being as philanthropic as I could, because a lot of folks are interested in the comic book world. They're interested in the storytelling narrative. They're interested in running a business, and all the stuff that you do, you and John do, all the stuff that I do and many other creators do. It's literally it's kind of like breathing for us, but for other people, it's not so much. So
yeah,
I'm like, man, maybe I can actually be of service to people and to a younger audience. And I find it to be extremely rewarding, spiritually, personally, to be able to give back and not want anything. I mean, again, when I give to these kids, I don't want anything. And I think it's funny too, because I joke about them carrying heavy stuff, and they do that. But, I have paid all my interns over the years, but not only monetarily, but I give them life experience of working for a company. I also teach them and tutor them art while we're sitting at a booth, and things like that. So it's very much an interactive internship and an experience when I do have, kids that are working with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Shoot, her name is slipping me right now. What's the name of the
Sierra and Mike.
Shout out to Sierra and Mike. What's up, guys? I love those two. That's some hardworking kids.
It's my youngins right there, man. It's like they're my mini me's and shit,
That's right. That's right. So I know that like being a role model is important to you, clearly in the work that you do. Who were some people that you looked up to, when you were coming up and thinking about initially, venturing into comics, and whether it be a comic related person or, just someone in your life who was inspirational and kind of, set the path for you?
It's a great question. I mean, first of all, the first person I think, we look up to, I'm sorry, I just ate dinner earlier, so I'm burping like crazy. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. But it's a real conversation between me and a good friend of mine. So
That's
it's
right.
raw and it's uncut and there's no bullshit. So here we go. My first hero was my mother, actually. I mean, she is a survivor. I mean, I think that's the best way I could put it. I think surviving is a superpower when you're faced with any
Mhm.
type of adversity, any type of hardship. And with her, she dealt with kidney disease from the time she was in her mid 30s, and she, has had multiple surgeries and hypertension. She's had 3 kidney replacements. So to watch her go through all of these really, really strenuous things, but still have a positive attitude, still be upbeat, still be encouraging, was really powerful to me, because it's like I can't complain about shit when this woman is going through some of the craziest things to stay healthy and stay alive. So she was my first hero. She's the first one that got me into comics. So I have to just say shout out to Mom Dukes, because again, that's definitely a big thing. Um, I'm trying to think artistically. I'm trying to think. So teachers were always a big thing, man. My very first art teacher in high school pushed me to like, yo, if you want to learn how to be a comic book artist, be an animator, to be this, then you have to learn everything. And this is when Photoshop was 4.0. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no creative suite. It wasn't on the cloud. It was on a disc, the
Right.
CD that you put into your computer and ran and downloaded and all that stuff. And it was those types of individuals that just believe that, hey, this kid's got something, but he really wants to, really be in this business and try some stuff. So let me give him all the tools. And I started going to conventions in 2005, just like you guys did, like as fans, just walking the floor and networking, getting to know people, getting to know creators, and just like gravitating towards people who had similar interests and also had really dope work. And the first person who ever mentored me in comics was Ryan Benjamin back in 2005. He's a DC Comics vet. He's Jim Lee's, #1 protege. There's Jim Lee, then there's Ryan Benjamin. That's how thick that relationship is. And he took a whole bunch of time with me in terms of like looking at my art, telling me what was wrong, telling me like, hey, there's more money in than just comics. You have to look outside. You have to think outside the box if you want to be successful. And this is a man that now to this day drives $100,000 car and lives on a nice swanky ass fucking loft in San Diego, California. I mean, that like there's bread in comics if you know how to play the game right. And he's one of those people
Right.
that just knows the game. So I constantly look to what's going on with Ryan. And the folks over at Aspen Comics were incredible too, because their founder, Michael Turner, was one of my favorite artists for a long, long time. And
Mm.
he took time out of his day, even though he was going through cancer at the time, to just look through my portfolio and give me encouragement and just be a really great human being without looking for anything. He didn't want anything in return other than to just foster and give positive feedback to a young artist. So going to conventions is incredible. I mean, I think if you're going to do anything, whether it's online or in person, do the in person first, because it builds lifetime relationships.
Yeah, definitely. For me, the conventions are all about the connections. I mean, yes, you want to make money off your book, you got to pay for your booth and those kinds of things, but the networking and those relationships are the things that you really lean on and help with your growth as you're going forward.
Absolutely.
Um, so like being a creator, and you're not just a creator, you're a writer, and you're also penciling some of your work, at least the initial ones, and you're also managing like the business side, and it's a lot, as someone else who can relate to that. So what keeps you motivated? What gives you energy to keep going even when it's like super hard?
It's a great question. I get asked that a lot, actually. The favorite question is, do you sleep? That's the question I
I get that too.
I'm like, what? I'm not a fucking vampire, not a zombie. I mean, I'm trying to think. So it's always kind of interesting because all the Okemus issues, 0 through 4, have been written and drawn by me since the
Hmm.
beginning, since 2015. And I take a lot of pride in that. And I think for me, Okemus has been really how do I say this? It's a very educational experience in terms of being a storyteller, and then also drawing and, continuing to get better. Because, I mean, if you think about it like this, if you were doing comics as a full-time job every single day, you'd be sharp as steel because you're always doing it. It's like your bread and butter. And I think for a lot of us that are transitioning into that phase, comics, we learn with every single book we do. Every single book is a teacher. Every single book is a lesson of how to do something better, how to evolve. And I think when people look at Wildcard Chronicles, Burning Spear's first book, and then their second book, they see this, huge, amazing jump in talent and skill and just, polish on the book. Like, it looks incredible. I mean, the first one was dope. The second one's even doper. So again, like, we all learn from our first book, and we bring that into the second one and just move on from there. But one thing that motivates me is the supporters, the people who have become fans and friends of mine over the years, because they ask about the books all the time. Like, oh, when's the next book coming out? When's the series going to finish? What's the next thing? And I'm just like constantly thinking about these comments, seeing them and taking note of them. And also they're living in my head all the time. So I'm like, I'm serving these people. And I feel like when I do go to a con, and let's say I meet a young kid that's inspired by someone who looks like him, that's doing what he kind of dreams about doing.
Right.
It's like that type of thing, like, makes me feel like I'm a kid again. Like, yo, that was me all them years ago. And now I'm like, shit, I want to be that person that someone else could lean on or how I just look up to. And again, lead by example, not really necessarily, just lead for the purpose of leading, but just like leading by example. If I'm a good person, if I produce great material, then I'm doing my job, you know what I'm saying? And I take the time for others. So the supporters definitely inspire me big, huge, big time. And then also collaboration. I love collaborating with other folks, man. Like, it's such a cool thing because we have such great creators in our pool of the indie community. And I know when I've been at your house, I've talked to John about doing crossovers and alternate timelines and stuff, and see, that type of stuff like fires me up, man, because like there's so many cool possibilities. We have no limitations. I think when you have a legacy character like Spider-Man or Wolverine, there's just certain things you can't do. There's certain rules you can't break. You may be able to bend them a little bit, but you can't really break them and then try something new without completely alienating your fan base. But that's the beautiful thing about indie. Like, we can do whatever we want, when we want, and how we want it. And that complete creative freedom to me is extremely inspiring and just like a lot of fun, man. So I get turned on by a lot of stuff in terms of just like the fire goes up, and also eating healthy. And like I've been on a journey of veganism the last couple of years, and that gives me a ridiculous amount of energy. I'm not pitching it because people can eat whatever they want. I'm not the person to like shove it down your throat like, oh, you need to eat healthier. Like, I don't, you do you. But,
no, I've seen you throw down.
Yeah, you see how we eat. Like, I mean, but that's the thing, is crazy because, I can be on my feet for 10 hours at a con because I've ate healthy the entire day or the day before, or I'm like, my energy level is just different. And I noticed that because, like I said, I was because me and my brother came up in the Midwest, like, it was literally a meat and potatoes type of community. So, or culture. So, bacon, ribs, barbecue, burgers, hot dogs, you know what I'm saying? Fast food. This is all that we ate growing up. That's all we ate. You know what I'm saying? No, there was no salad in sight. I don't think I ever remember being served a salad as a kid. Is that fucked up? I don't know.
Sounds like my house.
Yeah. Not one single fucking salad, but just like pizza for days. So I think being from a culture like that, where, we're big eaters, as I started to get a little bit up in the age, it's just kind of like, oh man, I'm feeling a little more sluggish. I'm feeling let me try some stuff out. And again, because my family is known for having health issues with hypertension and high blood pressure, all these things are associated with eating. I was like, let me try to do something different. And the veganism has like a weird side effect of just giving you another level of energy, during something like a con that's, 8 hours of being on your feet and engaging with thousands of people, which is extremely tiring. So, oh my God, it's a lot of work, but you already know that.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's draining, but it's worth it, like it's kind of like the give and take.
That's
Um,
right.
Give the energy, take the energy, and of course when you have help at the booth, it's nice to have like, okay, I'm gonna take a break real quick.
That's right.
Get us some food. Let's
Yeah, you
see.
come through and sit at the booth for us, please. Sell
Yes,
some
for
books.
sure. Absolutely. I'm
She
really
knows how to sell some books, by the way. Shout out to Yayi, man.
Oh, Jaji, yeah, for sure. I miss her. Ugh, I'm gonna miss the New York Comic Con this year. I was really looking forward to it.
Likewise.
Let's see. Okay, so let's talk about the comic a little bit. So we have Kale, who is like the main character, and
Hmm.
I there's a lot of martial art kind of influence in the book. And then like I can tell that like you're infusing like the discipline of being practicing martial artist practitioner, I guess. um Tell me a little bit about that, because like when I saw that on your Kickstarter thing, I was like, hey, I didn't know TJ did martial arts. Like how does
Yeah.
that influence your story?
I mean, I think anybody that will tell you that's done martial arts, it's like a way of life. And I mean, I did, show and rue Japanese karate for 12 years and, ended up with a black belt at early in high school and did some competitive, demonstration type stuff when I was, in high school as well, and a little bit of college. And martial arts is something I love. Like, I love the credo of martial arts and what it's about. And again, how the discipline and respect and these types of very rigid structures
Hmm.
help you with life. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I'm extremely rigid with how I complete my books. Like, I mean, I'm pretty consistent with, like, I come out with a new book every July, and that's very intentional because I put myself on this very, very rigid, tight schedule, and the discipline of that, comes from working within martial arts for a number of years and just loving every bit of it. And trying to think what else. But also the martial arts also helps with the story because for me, I always loved um, martial art inspired stories. I'm a huge like kung fu movie fan. Like, I mean, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, like uh, was it Chow Yun Fat? You know what I'm saying? All these great, amazing Gordon Liu, these amazing uh, Asian actors who just were incredible on screen, were electric, were powerful. And I think when I started really watching martial arts films, they had just started coming over to the States from Asia. So you were getting lots of bad dubbing. You were getting like the Wu Tang Clan, Shaolin swords type stuff, and it was crazy, man. Like what are they even saying? What even? But it was so powerful that those movies could completely transform a culture, and I just loved everything about them. So for me, martial arts was in everything that I did from being a practitioner and then being part of my life. But then also, I wanted my characters to be martial art practitioners too. So a lot of the kicks, a lot of the punches, the roundhouse stuff, like you see that they're actual moves that are done in karate that I'm transposing into an action story. So it's like, how can you tell an action story if you don't really about martial arts if you're not a practitioner, if you don't exactly know what that looks like? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, so you have the characters that Kill is kind of connected to, called the Mikai. Can you tell us a little bit more about that connection and I guess just the
Absolutely.
teaser without no spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah. So Okemus is a sci-fi martial art action story about this centered around this young man named Kale, who is a young black kid, about 19 years old. He's getting ready to actually start his first year of college. He's a genetics major at Purdue University, the leading university for genetics in the country. And with that, he is kind of going about life. He's an orphan. He doesn't know who his parents are, and he feels like genetics and finding out what's in his DNA. You know what I'm saying? Is kind of like a window into like him, self discovery. And I think that kind of also I wrote that because DNA tests are like a big thing nowadays to kind of discover
Mm,
where you come from, like who you are really, like to the core, because so many of us are mixed with so many different things or have so many different lineages. And Kale being a genetics major, he feels like genetics will be his, the saving grace. It'll be his way to figure out more of who he is and his lineage. So But out of nowhere, life unexpectedly happens. And in this case, 4 biomechanical warriors called the Hunters, Tessina, Bane, Massar, and Sada, have come from the future looking. Yeah, oh, she's wearing a shirt. Ladies and gentlemen, see that? Focus in. Man, you're dope. See, that's an E hug right there, Moana. That's a big ass E hug. One of those. Man. So, these biomechanical warriors, human beings that have superpowers that can shift into like a powerful armor, can generate weapons, swords, energy attacks. They're looking for Kale. They don't even know who he is, but they're looking for an individual that has something that's something trapped deep in his DNA that could possibly save their broken world. So they're the villains of the story. They come out kind of what is it called? They show up at a weird time, and when they do show up, they kind of awaken this power in the main character, and all hell kind of breaks loose. The story completely takes this weird twist that no one saw coming. I think everybody expected it to be an orphan story like Spider-Man or Superman or whatever, but
Right.
it takes in a very unexpected turn very, very quickly. And from that, we kind of get Okemus 1 through 4, which we currently have. And then issue 0 is actually a prequel where you see the main character, Kale, as an adult. He's like a 45, almost 50-year-old man fighting these mechai warriors and these mechai creatures. And, just for explanation purposes, the mechai are like cybernetic abominations of man and machine that live only in this desolate future landscape that this Kale from the future kind of is fighting. And you see that in issue 0. You see him at the end of his journey. And then when you go to issue 1, you see him as a young kid. So we kind of do some non-linear storytelling. We do a little bit of like time travel, time alternate timeline, whatever. Like we play with those types of things in Okemus, and we have a lot of fun with it. So, issue 0 is going to play into the main continuity in a very, very big way in the next couple of issues. So I hope everybody gets a chance to like dive into the series and come into it with an open mind, because you may think that you know what's going to happen, but you actually have no idea.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love how you play with the timeline, because we kind of did that with the Chronicles too, where we show you like, here's this, here's our character. It's pretty dope. Like you jump in the middle of a story, and it's like, okay, but before we go there, let's go back to the origins.
Right.
And I love that, because I feel like sometimes some of the storylines for other comics, like they just start from like, okay, they're invincible, and I'm like, okay, but like, how did it get there? So taking the time to do that character development, I think, is really important, and it just, to me, helps build even more interest in the book, and it helps you actually get audiences at like all different points. So like you can get people who are new to it, will be like, oh, this is cool, even though you may have created it like years ago, right? And then you're also addressing, your core fans who have been with you like from the get-go. So that's one of the things I really love about it.
Yeah, absolutely. The mystery, I mean, keeping people guessing and making them think. Because again, like when I read Wildcard Chronicles, the first one, it was again one of those books that just made me think, like, man, I can't wait to see what happens in the next book. And I think that's what we need to do as creators, is to pique the interest with I mean, again, like there's so many dope comic book companies out there, but I see so many people doing very, very similar type of looking characters. And I mean, teach your own, everybody do everything, do what you want. But like I said, I think that when you look at a title like Okemus, it's a completely unique title. You're not going to see anything like it on the shelves. When you look at Wildcard Chronicles, it's something that's actually really, really unique that you're not going to see on the shelves, period. So I think that's, again, a testament to just the creators taking their time. And that's the only thing I would say. If you are going to be a creator, take your time to tell a really great story and just pace yourself, because, comics aren't necessarily a sprint. I mean, people have gone broke trying to sprint through comics. People have had a million Kickstarters and not fulfilled rewards trying to sprint through comics. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like there's a million ways you can shoot yourself in the foot. But like, I think just pacing yourself and making sure you're constantly coming out with something at least once a year, and you're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And bringing that like originality and focus on quality, that's a big thing for us. People are like, oh, when's the next one? It's like, it's going to take a while. It takes a while. Like greatness is not created overnight. And, I think when we first started, I was like, we got to go faster. But, John he has his, his vision set, and he's like, nope, we're not going faster. The timing will be when it is. And we're going to release a great, a quality product. I was like, okay,
Amen.
you have a point there. So
Shout out to John Nuri McAdams. That's my
that's
dude
right.
right there.
That's right. He's elsewhere right now, but definitely I know he's going to be watching this later, for sure.
No doubt.
So TJ has like a whole bunch of dope content on his Kickstarter right now, which is ending in like 10 hours.
10 hours, ladies and
If you
gentlemen.
have not yet gone to check it out, go to Kickstarter and let's pull it up real quick. Just share it real quick before we jump to the next question. Let's see. Chrome tab. There you go. Oops. Boom.
Here we go.
So here you go. You can see we are in the last 9 hours, and look, he's already kicking butt with 21,000, and he has 500 backers. So clearly, this man has something going on, and the 500 people backing him are right there with us. So you can check this out. He has amazing art. He has T-shirts, got some unique toys, custom toys, like limited edition custom toys. Like only 10 of them available in some of the variations. But take a look. The art is amazing. There's my girl Tessina right there.
That's right. Kicking butt, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. So definitely check out this Kickstarter, Okemus. And you can just
OKEMUS. OKEMUS.
Right.
You search that on Kickstarter, it'll pop right up. It's super easy to find.
Absolutely.
And I think Moana will probably have a link in the description too if folks want to check it out there as well.
Yes, I will. Absolutely. You know what? Let me drop it right now into the comments. And hopefully it'll show up. All right. So we had a question from someone who's listening, who's Newton. He going back to the martial arts. Is all the martial arts karate, or do you have a mixture of styles?
Hey Newton, what's going on, man? Yeah. So all of the characters that are in the group of the hunters, Masar, Bane, Sada, Tessina, they're all kind of have different applications of martial arts. So Masar, who's a 6'3" Asian dude in the comic book series, is actually based on one of my best friends from high school, Jim Yu, guy from China. He's the biggest Asian dude I've ever met in my life, and he was shot put, discus, heavy lifting, like he was the huge dude. But the crazy thing about how him and I connected in high school was that we were both big Tupac fans, and like it's literally we were the only people of color in the class quoting Tupac. You know what I'm saying? So common interests and things like that. And, he was a big Kung Fu guy. Like he was a huge Kung Fu guy. So Masar, the guy in purple, is a Kung Fu practitioner. And, Bane is a little bit more like, how do I say, like maybe Tai Chi, if anything. He's more, mental and spiritual than anything. Tessina's lots of kicks, lots of kickboxing, lots of Aikido. But different variations of that, because in the future, where these hunters come from, there's not necessarily like a one type of style that everyone follows. It's kind of like there's a mixture going on. Not to be confused with mixed martial arts, because I don't really consider that to be a martial art per se, but definitely each character has kind of like a very unique martial art ability to them, for sure.
That's really cool. Let's see. So in this whole, universe of being a creator, what is the one thing that you enjoy doing the most?
Oh man, I love going to conventions and just meeting new people, man. That is just like, because see, the thing is for me, like I spend 6 months out of the year creating a new book, writing
Yeah.
the story, drawing it out, getting it sent to the colorist, getting the letterer involved and all that other good stuff. So it takes half of the year. And then the other half of the year, usually the summertime into the fall, is convention season. So it starts in like August. I'm sorry, no, June or July it starts, and then it goes all the way till, November, December. And
Yeah.
I just love going to cons, man, because you always meet new people. You always run into different folks. Ran into so many cool, unique people, and then I've run into cool celebrities. I've met industry folks. Like, I mean, you just never know what you're going to get when you go to a con. It's a very much a unique experience every single time. So I just love doing that, and I love to see people's reactions when I've got a new book, man. Like, I mean, like, oh man, this is the new one in the story, and like you get to catch up with old friends. Like it's just fun, man. I just miss conventions so much. You know what I'm saying? Like for real.
Yeah, definitely. I absolutely miss it too, even though it is draining. But
Sure.
it's like you said, you spend so much time creating your baby, right? Your story, and it's like, oh yes, I finally get to share it and show people and see
That's
the
right.
reactions and get the feedback and because everything is evolving as you mentioned earlier, like in your head and um, it's it's funny like how your fans can influence like some of the things like, oh well, they want to see that part, maybe I'll take the story this way. I think that kind of happened for in our conversation with Newton last week when we were talking about Crescent City Monsters and how like he didn't expect to do things a certain way, but like it was something that the fans like. So when he did his pivot, he wasn't sure like how that was going to work out. But
Hmm.
um I mean, he's crushing it, so clearly he's doing something right too.
That's right. It
You and
works.
Vincent are like
Do what
my
works.
favorite projects right now on Kickstarter, so for sure.
Appreciate that, man. It means a lot. Absolutely. I mean, you
Yeah.
guys are Kickstarter veterans. You know how this whole thing works, and it's an interesting animal. And like I said, I think the timing is perfect. I mean, I think a lot of it's like tapping the vein at the right time. You know what I'm saying, and just drawing blood when it's ideal. But ultimately, I think also every single person who's ever supported Okemus at a convention jumped on this Kickstarter, and that's how incredible the supporters are. So I just want to say thank you to all of you guys if you're watching, because you jumped on the campaign within the first couple of hours. We hit our goal within under 2 hours, super quick, and then you continue to share it. Every single person I've done an interview with over the years, every single person who's on my mailing list, like every single person seemed to have jumped on, and then we obviously got new people too. So I'm just hella thankful, man, because allows me to give you what I've been working on, the best book that we have in the series. So I'm very excited about it.
Definitely. um so being a creator, you also clearly are in the artistic community. Are there any artists that you would like to be compared to?
Oh, shoot, that's a great question. I don't know, man. I want to be compared to T.J. Sterling, the better future version of myself, whatever that looks like, in the coming years, and all the amount of time that I have to be doing this. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to be drawing comics when I'm 80. I would love to like just be running a business. You know what I'm saying? Doing a little bit more of the puppeteer work, but uh, yeah, just being the best version of myself for sure, and just being people seeing Rae Comics and seeing the content we come out with, seeing Okemus and all the new titles we got coming out with, and be like, man, they're one of the dopest comic book companies out there, and they're not on the level of Boom or what is it called, Boom or any of these other bigger
Dynamite.
Dynamite, some of these like companies that are indie, but they're still big. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
those are big companies, even though they're indie. Like I want to be on those guys' levels at some point in time, or really just be on my own best level in terms
right.
of just like being synonymous with quality and great stories and inclusion and just loving everybody and telling great stories that are centered around every single type of person.
That's really great advice because I feel like there are a lot of people who can fall into that trap of um, comparing themselves to someone else and then that ending up being like paralyzing them from taking action and actually improving, like themselves individually. So I really like that you touched on that, because it's an important thing for people to remember, whether you're a creator or whatever, just a life advice, like focus on being the best like the best version of yourself, continuing to improve your craft, whatever that might be. I feel like that's, put it on a wall. We gotta make a
I mean, it's true, man, because like I said, I think it's so easy as creators to kind of compare yourself to other individuals that are doing something similar, and I just think that it's a very easy thing to do, but the challenging thing to do is just to take your mind out of it and just to stay in your lane and do you know what I'm saying? And just be content with that. Be happy with your movement and what you have going on, because, we're extreme. Every single one of us creators is unique. I mean, I haven't seen anybody in the comic creator community, at least in the indie community, that has a similar way of doing stuff. Everybody's kind of got a different way or a different vision for what they want their business to look like. So it's a beautiful time to be in comics. It's a beautiful time to be a part of the indie community. So I'm just happy to be one of the guys that are in there doing his thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. One more question from Newton. Do you plan on doing more Kickstarters?
Oh man, bro. Yes, that's a hell yes. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm just getting my feet wet, and the plan was to get our feet wet, but we ended up taking a dive into the pool. You know what I'm saying? Swimming for a couple of hours. That's what ended up happening. So we're definitely doing another Kickstarter. I will probably try to average, maybe 2 a year go forward. But ultimately, too, I think what's all very smart with that some creators do is they kind of use Kickstarter as part of their business model.
Yeah.
They actually are building products specifically to drop on Kickstarter, whether they're graphic novels or whether they're, big, properties or whatever. They bring bigger offerings to Kickstarter and ask for bigger money, and they get it, and they get even more than that. So I think it's forcing me to kind of think outside the box in terms of what can I offer with my company go forward, because I have so many people asking, when can I get the Okemus trade paperback with all of the art in it, with all of the story in it? There's so many people that want that. So I think it's kind of crazy that, how incredible the platform is. I didn't realize it until now, and I think now I'm a believer. I'm ready to work and do more.
I've been trying to tell you.
Shoot, a whole bunch of people have been trying to tell me, and I'm just like, okay, well, because the thing is, and I'm not bragging, I'm just saying, like, when you do 15 shows a year and you sell this amount of books, you can do Kickstarter numbers in a given year. You know what I'm saying? Or even in a few months, you can do these exact numbers, and it's more, I would say it's a little less stressful, because Kickstarter is very stressful. I will say that, extremely stressful. You lose sleep over a Kickstarter. A lot of things that but I'm saying, though, it's worth it in the end. But ultimately, you have to do what works for you. And I think for me, Kickstarter has become something that I said, like a lot of people, I've heard about it over the years. I've seen it work. And now, like I said, I'm a believer 100%, 100%.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good testing ground for, like if you have something that you're kind of tossing around and you're not really sure how, the market might react to it before you go ahead and make like a larger investment. A Kickstarter is a great place to, give that a try.
Absolutely.
Let's see, where are we at on time? Okay, so we're coming
do we have any more comments? I felt like I saw other comments coming through.
Oh yeah, Lonzo Star, what's up, brother?
What up, man?
How does it feel to be over the campaign part?
Shoot, I mean, I'm still doing interviews and there's 10 hours left. So, I mean, I had an interview earlier today. I mean, I'm constantly networking. It doesn't feel like it ends. And I feel like there is a big sigh of relief, though, once every single stretch goal has been met, every single goal has been reached, and we've surpassed what we thought we were going to do tenfold. I mean, my whole strategy was just to have a modest ask and expect a pretty decent return.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what we got was we started with a modest ask and got an exponential return. And that I'm, again, extremely grateful for. And I'm definitely happy that I can, relax and, for at least a week. And then once all the funds start rolling in, fulfillment begins. So that's gonna be a whole nother month of craziness because there are over 500 people right now that require, orders, and they're going to be shipped all over the place. I do have some international customers, so that's going to be another job in itself. And I think everyone who knows it's had a big Kickstarter, like let's say somebody like our brother Roye, his fulfillment has been consistent from the time he ended all those months ago. He's still fulfilling from that.
Yep.
Still working on that campaign. So is it really done though? Is the campaign really done? It's the question. What's done? You know what I'm saying? Like, because done is not when you're working and fulfilling orders. Done is when you're completely done. No orders to fulfill, no nothing. But again, yeah, I think that answers the question, Lonzo.
Oh yeah, definitely. I did my Kickstarter last September, and I still have 3 books that are like hanging out. Like I can't get them to like. I need an address. I need to fulfill this, But talking to some folks who have been veterans, they're like, yeah, that always happens. Usually, like after a year, it's like you did your best to try and fulfill it, and I guess you just chalk it up as a loss if they don't respond. But the OCD in me is like, I need it, please. I don't feel complete.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been at a con and then someone buy your books and say, oh, I'm going to come back later at the con and never show up? And I'm like, bro, like I took your money and I got your books. They're signed. They're just chilling right here, but they forget or they get locked outside. And it's like, oh, that's rough, man. Like, cause I want them to have the story. I'd rather give them their money back if they're not going to have the books. But
right.
It happens.
Yep. It's definitely happened to us at least twice. Yeah. And I feel guilty. I'm like, did you see this guy? Did he come back? I really want to give him the book. Please let me know what you think about this story.
That happened at Baltimore Comic-Con last year. This cat bought everything I had, and he never came back. It was weird because I'm like, but again, like I was pretty busy that like I was at panels and stuff, and they were like, oh, I really want to meet the artist. I want him to sign it and all this other stuff. And like again, like we just missed each other, and so I'm hoping when next Baltimore Comic-Con, he'll see me and I can give him his stuff. Fingers crossed.
I think I know who he is because he's a big supporter of the indie community. He's a kind of shorter dude.
Yeah, glasses and stuff.
Yeah, that might be him.
Maybe the same guy. Just walking around forgetting his fucking his stuff he bought. What is that shit?
Come back.
Oh. I mean, I like free money just as much as the next man, but like, god damn,
Yeah,
like, I want you to have your books, fam. I want you to read the books. For real.
For sure. So, okay, last question. What legacy do you want to leave with your work?
Oh, but legacy, I love this question. I think there's like quite a few creators that are in our midst in the any kind of creator community that are parents, that are husbands, wives, that have families, and the dopest thing to me when I watch them work is that they're building a business and they're building an empire that they can pass on to their children, and they're bringing their children to cons, and they're literally like, hey, this is my bread and butter, but now it's yours. You know what I'm saying? Like you are literally able to gift a piece of generational wealth to your own, man. And I think that's so powerful, and that's really what I'm doing here is I'm building an empire that I can pass on to my family one day that will allow them generational wealth. You know what I'm saying? They can, because by that time when I'm ready to be out and to peace out of this motherfucker, like I want to be that Stan Lee cat, you know what I'm saying? Right. Just coming to the shows, signing stuff, and mad fans like, oh, I remember when we did this, and that was like 50 years ago, whatever. And just like, that's the type of legacy I want to leave. But then like have the family be able to like, yo, my dad's movies are coming out this year, or I'm an executive producer on my father's movies or his TV shows or whatever. And that's the type of legacy I want to leave. Just, it's synonymous with quality and philanthropy and just being a real dude, man. I think a lot of people will attest to the fact when they do meet me, I'm a real person. You know what I'm saying? I don't got no tolerance for nonsense, but I am a real person, and I do show a lot of love, and I appreciate the love that I get in return. So yeah, just a legacy of that, man, if I could. Absolutely.
That's really cool. In terms of the philanthropy, for those who are watching, like one of the really cool things that I love that TJ did with his campaign is um, he is supporting I can't remember the exact organization, but it's the kidney one, the National Kidney
Mhm.
Foundation. Is that right?
That's right.
And you heard him talk about how his mom struggles with that, and it's a cause that's very close to his heart. So I love that he's using his platform to also benefit other causes and help to bring positive impact to the lives of other people. He also had a donation tier for women in comics, which I really appreciate, like him supporting the women who are in comics. It's not a lot of us. It's growing. There's
Absolutely.
some really strong women. Shout out to Regina um, and LaShawn, who's opening up her comic book shop in where's she
Yeah.
at again? Is it Kentucky? No, not Kentucky. Alabama, right? Alabama.
The South, Alabama. That's right.
Yeah. So like I'm really excited for her, and definitely looking forward to having our book in her shop. Um,
Amen.
but yeah, to all the creators who use platforms for not just their own projects and making money that way, but also helping bigger causes. I love that stuff because I do that too. So um I'm really excited for like just being able to help people and getting that like feeling of generosity, that and gratitude that they give back. It's just like, oh, being able to touch somebody's life like that, especially when you know what it's like to go through adversity and difficult times. So shout out to you for doing that. Love it.
Appreciate you, sis. Absolutely. Yeah, it was extremely important to me with this campaign to do what we could to give back in whatever way. I mean, again, it's a drop in the bucket, but it's a start because I mean these organizations are struggling just like we all are because of
Right.
COVID. So um, again, the Junior 100 is an amazing organization. It's the second charity that we have, and again, with them, it's helping kids who want to do what we do. You know, what I'm saying as professionals. And the third and final tier that we have that is for the philanthropic tier is for women in comics, and I absolutely love like women in comics and what they do. I loved it. I've supported from the beginning, and Regine Sawyer is an amazing, powerful force that just is transforming the industry, and she's so strong and focused with the vision that she has for this business. So I really believe in it wholeheartedly. Again, there's so many amazing creators, women creators in this industry that are just doing some incredible stuff. And like I said, this organization supports them. It supports all the stuff that they're doing, and it's really dope. They're doing some really really great stuff come this year and then into 2021. So it's super easy. Like everything, if you donate to Women in Comics through Rae Comics, it goes directly to them. We don't take a piece of that at all. Um, donate to that as much as possible if you can. But also, again, let's say you want to get comics and donate to Women in Comics, you can do that as well. And again, there's not an add-on feature just yet. But let's say you get your $35 tier. When you get the $35 tier, you get all the comics, and then you add $50 to that. I'll make sure that $50 goes to Women in Comics. You just have to write a personal note to me, and I'll take good care of it.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, guys. So go ahead and check out once again, Kickstarter. I'll put the link right up there. You can check out Okemus. We got 9 hours left. And
Wow.
I know that's nuts, right? 8 hours is like a work day.
So for sure, man. I got to post a couple updates and all that other good stuff today too.
Is this your last interview, or are you burning the midnight oil?
Oh, this is the last one for the night. I mean, I do have some scheduled for follow-up ones for next week. I might do one tomorrow, or maybe I won't do anything tomorrow. Maybe I'll
Enjoy
relax
the
and
victory.
binge watch The Boys or something like that. You know what I mean? No
Definitely take a
doubt.
break, a much needed break. You've been working hard over this last month.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think, let's see, no more questions. So we will end here. Once again, thank you, TJ, for your time and coming on the Moana Nui podcast. If you would like to follow TJ, where can they find you at?
super easy. I'm all over the place, absolutely all over the place. So if you're on Facebook, you search TJ Sterling. I think there's only one or two of me, so it's super easy to find. I'm on Instagram a lot too. So if you look for at TJ Sterling Art, you're going to find me there. If you want to check out our business Instagram page, it's at Rae Comics, RAE Comics on Instagram. Super easy to find. We're also on Twitter at Rae Comics on Twitter. Super easy to find me there as well. And what is it called? My website too. I respond to every single message you guys write me. I respond to it directly. So you're getting the owner of the company, the person who's writing and drawing the books, you get the direct answer. So raecomics.com, RAE comics.com. You can easily get me and find me there as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. Thank you to our listeners. If you liked what you heard tonight, give the video a share, hit the like button, shout it out, spread the word. And thank you guys so much for joining another episode of the Moana Nui podcast. I hope you guys are well and safe. Take care, everybody. Malama pono, ahui ho, until we see you again.